Hello, everyone. I am Timok. I am CPO at Orca, and I am joined today by two great product leaders, Ian and Kieran. Can you guys each give everyone an introduction of yourself, as well as your company, and also one interesting insight that you have seen about onboarding users in Web3? So, Ian, start with you.
Sure. Hope everybody have a chance to grab lunch. It's ready for the talks in the afternoon. I'm Ian Lin. I'm the product director at Circle and product lead for our programmable wallet as part of our developer platform offering. So Circle, for those of you who haven't heard, we're a USDC company, but we're more than just USDC. We also have a developer platform to enable people to build with USDC. And we see that as a kind of a critical piece to drive the adoption of blockchain and stablecoin and spread to the world. Interesting insight that I've learned about onboarding user into Web3 is that when I joined, the onboarding experience is terrible. If you think about seed phrases, installing browser plugins, all of those things, over the past few years, there's a lot of different developer platforms that abstracted that complexity away. However, the part that have not yet been abstracted away or have not been solved as well is scaling. No matter what blockchain that they claim to have, like the TPS meeting, like Visa and MasterCard, we're not there yet. Because even if they can handle the TPS, the gas price shoot up. Nobody's willing to pay that gas price at scale. So I think that's kind of like the unique thing is that onboarding, we are slowly making progress on the user experience side. But scaling, we still got a long way to go. And I think that like we are here positioned well to solve these problems over the next years.
Thank you, Ian. So I'm Kieran. I'm the product lead for Aethir. What Aethir does is actually, there's two sides to it, B2B and B2C. In the B2B side, we actually provide a GPU compute as a service to companies from AI, gaming. And in the B2C side, we actually have a hardware called Aethir Edge, where any one of us can own it and actually contribute back to the GPU network. So insights is, I'll just share you a personal story actually. I was born Burmese. So in 2020, there was a coup in my country called Myanmar. And the government actually limited every citizen to actually being able to withdraw 200 USD worth of currency at that time. So it was a pain in the ass. And I actually taught a lot of my relatives and friends to get into the crypto space, stablecoin. So Ian's here, glad for that. It's really important because if you know countries like Venezuela and all this stuff, your currency depreciates. And that stablecoin actually helps to like preserve your value actually. And I think crypto, there's a lot of like real world cases. And I think we are trying to solve some of the fundamental problems in the world, whether it's stablecoin, DPIN, and as product manager, onboarding is like really important because we want to have the seamless experience for our users. And it needs to be very intuitive. It can be so easy, just like a few clicks. And that's something that is very lacking in the Web3 space, such as creating your wallet. And when you do like transactions, you need to perform KYC. So these are some of the issues that we really need to solve. Yep.
Cool, thank you. So on the topic of insights, it kind of leads me to my next question, which is, do you guys have any hot takes about building products in Web3 that you'd like to share? And I'll start with one, which is an interesting insight that I've learned is that users don't really care about decentralization as much as people tend to want to promote decentralization as this big thing. I think users at the end of the day care about snappy products that work and solve their problems. So yeah, I guess Ian, do you have any hot takes that you'd like to share about building products in Web3?
Yeah, your hot take resonated with me a whole lot. So I'll just build on top of it. I think the problem I've seen often in Web3 is that we are trying to find a use case for technology. And we're not trying to like solve a specific problem and then figure out what that technology should be. And that manifests itself as like, hey, decentralization is great, it's a technology, but like, what problem does it really solve for? And I've seen numerous times people are basically forcing to fit into say, hey, decentralizing this is better. And it really isn't, right? Like oftentimes like people come to me and say for advice, it's like, hey, what do you think about this? Like building on blockchain is fully decentralized. Like, well, you could do that in a centralized way and it's faster, it's cheaper. So why would anybody want it? It's like, well, decentralization give people the rights to these items. Like, do people really want the right to these items, or do people just want to consume the content that's there, or do people want to transact or message each other? So I think that like as kind of like a product manager in the space, I encourage anyone building product is to go back to the first principles of like what problem you're trying to solve and why does blockchain solve it better than the existing solution? Why can't someone just create a database and solve that better than you? I think that's my hot take for it.
Yeah, it's a good topic. So like, if you want to look at decentralization, we also look at the type of users that we're speaking. So if you're like relatively new to Web3 or crypto, you probably won't care about decentralization because you probably don't understand what it means. You're still new. There are users who are into crypto. We call them crypto native. They are in crypto because they believe in decentralization. They don't believe in like Facebook or this like centralized exchange, right? That distribute where they kind of like control the stuff. So if you're like crypto native, you probably care about decentralization. You care about how your data, how your, like all these stuff are being handled. And there's the third type of users, people that want to build decentralization stuff. And they believe in the idea of having decentralized stuff, whether it's product, platforms, or for developers. So like, if you break it down into like different type of users, you can find that every niche of users has their own like kind of like insights as well. And that's how people perceive like decentralizations.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So, as product leaders too, I'd like to switch gears into a different topic, which is, and it's very relevant in Web3 companies because Web3 companies tend to be fully remote, and that is like a new cultural thing that seems to have been accelerated after COVID, but also like the crypto industry has really adopted, remote first as a culture. And personally at Orca, we've run into a lot of challenges with engineering, product, and design teams in a remote setting. So I kind of want to open it up to, you, Kieran and Ian here. Have you guys, can you guys talk a little bit about the work culture at each of your companies and any unique challenges that you face if you are in a remote work environment? Maybe Kieran, we can start with you.
Sure. Back in my Facebook days, so like we were like totally like go to the office like every 2-3 days, and I kind of made used to it because they offer me lunches, So that's one of the benefits of being in office. But the true thing is that you get to do like coffee talks. That's the benefit, but there are also times where product managers, we want to stay far away from conversations. We want to have our time to like really deep dive into problems, whether it's like writing documents or like giving like short notes to the team. And being in the office, sometimes it just doesn't really give you that time to like have your own time. If you're working from remote, you can kind of like control the time, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but what I truly believe is that a lot of the companies, especially in the crypto world, we are moving towards like remote world. The talent is actually all over the world, and that gives actually the time. But what I want to mention is that because we are all remote, we need to be very mindful of like our colleagues. And something that product managers actually have done very well is that we have empathy, whether it's for our users, our colleagues. So like by setting like boundaries, even for yourself and understanding your colleagues' boundaries, that actually help us to like cultivate a better culture. And the reason I'm here in Taipei is that I've actually met colleagues who I never actually met before. And when you have this kind of like spontaneous like meetings and like after events and drinks, you kind of like bond closer than someone that you actually been working like 9 to 6 for the last 6 months or a year. So I feel like spontaneously it's actually a good thing, like being remote, and then you have all these like trips that you can actually do to like meet your colleagues. I think it's good, yeah.
Yeah, I miss those free food days back at Meta as well. Those were really nice. Now, remote work is also great. I would say that thinking about the crypto industry, it's all about arbitrages, right? There is regulatory arbitrage, people say about like crypto. And then there's like talent arbitrage. We have great people, great engineering talent, great product talent, design talent all over the world. Web3 actually enables businesses to tap into these talent no matter where they are. And that has been like a huge value for a company like Circle. Now, Circle is fully remote, but some of the downsides, as Kieran mentioned, is that like, yeah, it's harder to connect when you're remote. Like, especially when you're like just newly onboarding. Just imagine like you're onboarding a company, you don't know anybody, and then you just see them on the screen for the first time. People are like, hey, welcome, and here's some document for you to read. it feels very different from actually being there in person and walking through meeting your team, right? So what I think Circle does really well is that despite being a remote setting and we have people all over the world, we still get together, right? Like conferences like this, it could be like team offsite. We make sure that the team does get together from time to time, meet up, to talk about product, talk about strategy, and also to connect as a person. Like, I won't name the company I was at before. I haven't had a chance to really meet most of my team. So when I left, after over a year there, I try to think about, hey, which of them are really my friends? Which of them do I want to reach out to again and say, like, hey, let's reconnect? Very few of them. But then, like, being here, like, the Circle, we're fully remote. We have a chance to meet each other from a regular basis, and then like everybody feels like a friend. It's not just like a working relationship. You actually get to know these people. I think that strong relationship enables you to do move faster, and also like when people get together, it's just more like productive and efficient in discussing a lot of the complexity in terms of the product development and designs.
Yeah, cool. So to summarize, I think remote work gives you global access to talent, which is not really possible if you're not in a remote environment. And also, being more mindful of people's time is one big thing too. So I guess just to, share something, one of the challenges at Orca has been managing people in all these different time zones. And when you try to get like engineers and designers to work on things, it's very beneficial for people to be able to have real-time collaboration. And one thing that, we actually try to solve for that we struggle with is like spontaneous discussions, because when you're in a workplace, it's very easy to have discussions with your colleagues and then you're grabbing coffee or lunch. But when you're in a remote setting and you just have this 1 hour time window to talk about certain things, when that time window is up, everyone just goes back and like sits in front of their computer and you don't really, have room for spontaneous discussion. So that's something that, we try to put a lot of time and thought into solving. So one quick example is like we try to do colos, which we call is like co-working for the company once a quarter. So everyone can go to the same location and meet each other and talk and have the opportunity to become familiar. So you're comfortable bringing up random topics with your colleagues. And when you're in a remote setting again, you feel more comfortable just DMing them and like having some spontaneous discussions. So cool, yeah, thanks for that, guys. Next I want to talk about, what do you think it takes to be a successful product manager? Maybe some people in the audience are interested in breaking into product. As product leaders in the space, what do you think are the core qualities that make a good product manager? Maybe start with you, Ian.
Yeah, so on top of my mind, there are two I can share. One is about setting directions. So product managers are the ones who set the direction for the team. Now, either you are like a senior leader, which you decide things for a whole company. You could be the chief product officer, you could be a CEO, or you could be a member of a team, which you take the top-down leadership guidance, the strategy, and convert it into a direction for your team. Your team looks to you for directions. You need to get them aligned, and oftentimes, this is the thing I learned at Facebook, is that you are not in a position to mandate people to do anything, right? The engineers that you partner with don't have to listen to you. They could say, hey, your idea sucks. I want to do something else that would deliver more impact. I mean, it's their right. So as a PM, your job is to actually help them understand, okay, is their idea really better? And if it is, let's take that as a direction, right? The goal is to really drive impact that's aligned with what the company needs as a business. So setting directions, getting alignment across the teams is extremely important as a job as a product manager. And the second one I would say is about ownership. And I've seen this repeatedly throughout my career, is that product manager needs to take ownership of the product completely. What that means is that you need to care about the product deeply enough that the success of the product is success of your career here at this company, at this team. When things are like falling through the cracks, you have to take ownership and figure out how to solve it. You may not be the one who need to write the code, but you need to figure out like, okay, if the engineer can deliver on time, but there's a time-sensitive release, how do you work with the team to make sure that you're able to meet the goal despite the short on staffing, right? You borrow resources from other teams. You try to reduce the scope, but deliver something still in the same timeline. There are a lot of things we can adjust as product manager. But that level of ownership, caring deeply, and when things go wrong, like the product quality, there's like, people are complaining, oh, this product doesn't work. You need to feel that's your responsibility. You can't just say, oh, well, yeah, the engineering team didn't write good code. The design team didn't design that right. That could be true, but as a product manager, you need to own up all of that. I think that having kind of like the leadership in setting direction, and the ownership, accountability of ensuring everybody delivers a great product to hit the business goal, I think are two of the most important principles.
Yeah, I agree. But I'll add on like with some soft skills. Like when Ewan was talking about strategy, normally we don't think of ideas. We think of the problem that we want to solve. And to get the problem, we look at data, whether it's a dashboard or like AMA with communities, right? So we want to identify the right problem. We want to understand how big this problem is. And to add on to Ian, impact. How big is this problem? How many users is this impacting? 1 user or like 1 million users? And based on this, we need to understand how to prioritize. So second thing I'll add on is empathy. You need to constantly use the product that you actually develop or you use, right? Because if not, you probably wouldn't understand how the users are feeling. Are they feeling happy, frustrated, angry? So you need to go through the loop again and again to really understand. Even if a product is mature, you can't just say, it looks fine. You got to go from the beginning. Log in, sign up, how's the process like, KYC. You got to understand every single thing, every iteration. And to add on as well, communications. I think whether you're working remotely or with colleagues around an office, it's always really good to give updates, especially when you're in big companies, like different departments, like they probably won't understand what has the app changed within the latest version. And to do this, what I normally do is like, we had an app release, and this is how it affects you. Marketing, CS, all this stuff. And you need to be the one to actually bring everyone together. And I think that's what makes a product manager is you are actually a connector. You need to connect every single dot. You need to have ownership. You need to see the bigger pictures. So we are indirectly responsible for the product. But like Ian said, we don't code, we don't do, but we just need to own it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. You know, when I made the switch to product, one interesting insight someone shared with me was product managers are responsible for converting capital into code that generates revenue in the software industry. So that's something that I always, you know, keep in mind when I'm working on a day-to-day basis. Cool. So, you know, next, you know, Circle is a beloved product that I'm sure everyone has interacted with, USDC, stablecoin. You know, I'm curious, Ian, can you kind of break down from your perspective, what are the core user segments of Circle? And, you know, how do you make sure you're serving their problems?
Yeah, absolutely. So Circle, we don't, it's not a 2C business. So it's very different from my past working at Meta, where like we're building consumer product targeting like billions of people in the world. It's a 2B business. And actually like joining Circle for about 2 years, I learned about like the broad range of customer segments. First off, we target like large institutions. These are the banks. These are the exchanges or the VASPs. These are the ones that we work with to actually mint and distribute USDC, right? So we also call them like wholesale distributors. And then we work with like kind of crypto as a service providers who are like actually providing services directly to retail. And then they are the ones who actually like basically help us distribute the USDC, either directly from Circle or from the wholesale distributors. And as a part of the developer pillar, we also work with like businesses that want to build in Web3. And this is something that interesting I learned is that like if you go after businesses, there's a larger enterprises that have typically go through these like the BD, what we call is like BD deal flows, where you would have like a solutions engineer embedded with a business development team. The solutions engineer will work on like basically the customers of ours or the prospects would give us like a request for proposal, RFP. The solutions engineer will propose a solution. And then working with them together on that solution, they'll sign off, agree, sign the deal. It's a long process. And like typically speaking, larger businesses typically have this one. And then there's a smaller business and individual developers who really just want to sign up an account and start building with you. So this is where our developer platform is like the self-serve developers onboarding. Anybody can come in, just create an account, create an API key and start building with us. Enables us to really scale up all the long tail like small businesses and individual developer to build with us. So to recap is that like Circle's business is about distributing USDC and enable people to build in Web3 that uses USDC. Distribution of USDC, we focus on the large institutions and the distribution network. And then the developer on the enabling the usage of USDC, we focus on developers. We could go from anywhere from large enterprises to small individual developers.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. So, you know, to switch gears over to Aethir, Kieran, AI and like blockchain technology are two of the hottest buzzwords right now, right? In recent times, AI is definitely up there. So, you know, Aethir is kind of at the intersection of both of these. So what are your predictions for, you know, how AI and crypto is going to evolve over the next few years? And how does Aethir plan to be a part of that?
Yeah, so basically Aethir actually provide, just a background is we provide compute as a service to companies. So it's a B2B, but we also have a B2C. So in terms of what I see is actually, if you look at AI and crypto, I see AI agents becoming a thing. It's not because it's the next trendy word or the shiny words, but it's where these AI agents can help you do mundane tasks, like whether like it's like DCA every month, every week, or to trade, or even to do some of these stuff. So I believe AI agents is a thing, and the way that we're gonna like kind of transact in a way is through cryptocurrency. So Aethir, on the outside, it seems it's a B2B company, but what we're really doing is there's also a B2C side, where we want to be part of the DP network, where users can use our tokens to actually have utility. And when we speak of the word utility, right, it's very common. Every community, every meme coins, we want to have a utility, and what they do with it, staking. Because that's like the easiest things to do, but it doesn't really solve utility as a problem. But what we want to do is the ability to use this Aethir token to be able to like purchase, whether it's like GPUs, computes, or even create your AI tokens, like to do mundane tasks. And I think that's where I actually see this kind of like a world where we have AI agents helping you do everything on the blockchain, and whether it's like trade or to do long, to do shorts, where you can actually like do stuff. So don't think of AI just as a ChatGPT. And when we speak of AI, there's so many ChatGPT wrappers. So just pay $20 and learn how to prompt it, and then you'll be really good in like creating your own like AI agents as well. Yeah.
Cool, yeah. And I mean, to add on, like AI agents, we've seen a lot of interesting AI agents pop up with like sentient AI tokens and meme coins. I don't know if you guys have been following that, but I know that both Ian and Kieran have mentioned like serving developers, because AI agents are, a lot of it is going to be, you know, interfaced programmatically. So one thing that is a focus at Orca, for example, is we also believe AI agents are going to be in the future. We don't really know in what way, shape, or form they will exist, but one of our, you know, mandates and our goals is to make it as easy as possible for developers and AI agents to integrate with our platform. And it sounds like that's something that these guys are up to as well.
Yeah. One thing to add, I think that now we're talking about AI agents, just a plug that stablecoin, we believe is going to be like the way AI agents transact with each other. Because if you think about it, that AI agents, if they actually need to have like economic behavior with each other, you can't have every single agent having a credit card, right? So stablecoin and having the wallet infrastructure that enable them to actually receive payment from other AI agents, send to other AI agents, I think it is going to be the future when all of these economic behavior actually moves on-chain with all the AIs actually interacting with each other. I think this is going to be huge.
Yeah. Yes, I've also heard people say the next billion users are not going to be users. They might just be AI agents too, right? So something to keep in mind. Yeah. Cool. So, you know, at the end here, I want to do an exercise where we'll do thumbs up for if you are in favor of, and thumbs down if you are not in favor of. And we'll do, you know, rapid fire, a couple different questions here. So the first one we'll start up with is, are NFTs going to make a comeback? So on the count of 3, let's do a thumbs up or thumbs down, all right? 1, 2, 3. All right, so sad. But Ian, why don't you kick us off? Oh, sorry, kick us off on what you think there.
Well, I would say that the NFT from the prior market, and it's sad to say, I do have an NFT portfolio, and it's just sad for me to continue to see it. Like with the market coming back, it's just not coming back. So it's depressing. So it's definitely not coming back in the old form of like PFPs, like GameFi, like in the old way. Maybe in a different form. I don't know, but maybe in like real world asset tokenization. But I just haven't figured out like where it's heading.
Yeah, for me, I used to be a DJ, trade meme NFTs on Solana, Magic Addons. But speaking of Magic Eden, pretty disappointed with the tokens. It's just like dump. But NFT, I think it's a way for us to kind of like an evolution, right? So if you talk about PFP, profile pictures, it used to be just a collection that I can just display on my Apple Watch, right? But I think it's evolving to community, like membership, ownership of a guild or like an organization you believe in. So it's still there, but it's taking very long for this to be like recognized. And why would someone wants to be a part of like a community where you can have a community for free? So why do you pay membership? So that needs to be the utility, and that's something that a lot of like I think organizations that are based on NFT are trying to do actually. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, you know, I think to me, NFTs are kind of, in 2021, were a natural evolution of this common crypto theme where, you know, a group of people are able to form a bunch of capital very quickly, permissionlessly. And, you know, we saw that with like ICOs back in 2017 where, you know, everything was ICOing. And then in 2021, we had NFTs where, you know, you could create a project and suddenly all these people could, you know, make a lot of money very quickly. But it's not very sustainable, right? So in a way, I've actually seen the evolution of this meta move over to meme coins this cycle, where I would actually argue that NFTs and meme coins are more related than you think. So for example, meme coins, you're also creating an image. You're also rallying a community of investors, and it's like even more liquid than NFTs, right? Because NFT projects, you had like 10,000 PFPs, but now for meme coins, you have trillions of tokens that you can mint, and it's just hyper liquid. So meme coins have dominated a lot of the conversation, so I'm kind of curious, same question, you know, are meme coins here to stay? Thumbs up or thumbs down on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, yeah, interesting. Okay, so yeah, Kieran, you want to kick us off with your thoughts on meme coins?
I think for meme coins, right, like every cycle, it's always like Bitcoin's gonna pump. And then you're gonna go to like Ethereum, Solana, because there might be a Solana ETF next year. And then the money move to altcoins and then to meme coins. So it's just a cycle of like all these things that you just need to know exactly where the money is gonna flow. So, and meme coin, there's like relatively like, there's no meaning behind this. It's just a belief. You can make like a dog, a cat, a frog, and it's just community building on this, and it's just a very DGN thing. So I think it's not here to stay, but it's for the culture of like crypto, right? It's just fun.
How about you, Ian?
Yeah, I'd say as a product manager, I hate to add value to anything I don't see value in. But I do understand it is culture. And like if you just pick one of the like the OG meme coin, Dodge, right? It's become a culture. It has a hype man, right? Elon continues to hype it up. And that is not going away, I'm pretty sure. But does it really have any utility? No, I don't think it ever have any utility. If you say that, like my thumb down is really meaning that, hey, if I believe crypto and the whole industry eventually will continue growing and staying, I believe that there's a future where people find utility in these. And maybe meme coins are still traded like heavily, but I don't think the utility will ever be there. That's just my point of view.
Yeah, I think, you know, I was the only one that went thumbs up, but I would actually say my sentiment is very similar to Ian's. You know, meme coins, you know, one could argue the utility is that it's fun, right? But maybe that is not a very substantial utility. But I think over time, you know, at least I also resisted meme coins for the longest time. And, you know, over time, I've accepted them. And I feel like they're here to stay in terms of they'll be cyclical, right? Like people will want to trade them, kind of like how the GameStop token or stock became like a meme coin in itself. Like we've actually seen a younger generation of people who are exposed to trading and managing their capital directly starting with the blockchain and crypto. And it's actually kind of interesting. So one thing I want to share is I was actually reached out to by a family friend recently who said, hey, you know, you work in crypto, right? Like, you know, I'm actually trading. Like, can you give me some tips? I'm like, okay, well, what chain are you on? He's like, I don't know. He listed some tokens like, oh, it sounds like that's Solana, you know, like, are you using, like, what wallet are you using? And he said, what's that, right? So it was just amazing to me that he didn't know what a wallet was. And I said, how do you trade? He's like, oh, there's like these Telegram bots that I use. And, you know, all I had to do was click a few buttons and I started trading. And I like using that better than Robinhood because it's faster, right? So that just kind of opened my eyes to, you know, I was just ignorant of this whole ecosystem that existed. and I don't really know where it's going to go. So I kind of feel like I'm waiting and seeing, but I think it might be here to stay. So.
It's actually a very interesting insight. I think the infra building around enabling the masses to trade meme coin is actually valuable, right? It basically abstracts away all that complexity. You don't need to know what chain you're on, what wallet you're using. You could be trading something that could be completely worthless a few years down the road, but the infrastructure is valuable.
But I just want to add, right, but I still think, like, in a way that meme coin is a very good utility tool for onboarding users. Because you can have, like, my dad would text me, like, buying, how do I buy Doge? How do I buy, like, Pepe? So it's a good form of, like, fun, a fun way to get started in, like, crypto, but
it's the best way to
utility.
onboard. Yeah, I agree.
It's a fun way, but it's not utility. Yeah, it's kind of like a game you can, like, enjoy for the time being. As long as you don't lose it all, lose the whole bag.
No, but the thing is that it teaches you the fundamentals of buying the crypto. First, you have to turn your fiat into crypto, and then crypto transactions wallet to like buying these like coins on the network. So it's a fun way of onboarding users.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think that wraps up our panel. So thanks for the time.